This is the homework quiz for quiz 1 of slope-intercept form, and it hits on targets 1 through 4. So the first target is find the slope of the line that runs through 2 given points. On the quiz, you guys did really good with given 2 points, but the graph is where you were a little stumped up. Now you can't read all of this, and I apologize because the graph gets in the way, but the rise is from one point to another point. How much are you going up and down? So your vertical distance, that y distance. And then your run is from one point to another, and how much are you going left to right? So that horizontal or x distance. Now, one thing I noticed was that some of you guys chose your own point that you thought was a solid number, and it actually wasn't, so you didn't get the right slope. So on these problems, to make sure that you have the right slope, use the 2 points you're given. You want to start with the point that's most on the left, so we're going to start with this point right here, and then we count how many we go up to that next point. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. So our rise would be 4. Our run, we do the same thing, but we see how much do we go left or right. So in this instance, we are going right, and we go right 1, 2 points. So our run would be 2. Remember, slope is rise over run. So what we would have is our final slope would be 4 over 2. And that would be our answer. Target 2. Find the slope and y-intercept of each line. So here we are identifying what the slope is and what the y-intercept is. Remember, slope is the same thing as m. So a slope of 0 means that there isn't an x in the equation. So an example here would be y equals -1. If you look, there is no x value because anything times 0 is 0, so x times 0 would be 0. The y-intercept is the value that y equals. So for this example, the y-intercept is 0, -1. An undefined slope is when you have an equation and there is no y in the equation. So in that case, the slope's undefined. An example of this is x equals 7. Unless it says that x equals 0, you do not have a y-intercept. So on this one, you would say that the slope is undefined, and then the y-intercept, you would say nothing. And that's how you identify the slope and the y-intercepts of those types of slopes. We have 2 more we want to look at. The first one is our most basic, the slope-intercept form, and this is when it's in the form y equals mx plus b. Now, remember, m is our slope value. The slope is only a number. There is no x in your slope. So if we have the equation y equals 2x minus 4, the only value that our slope is 2. X is not attached to our slope. And then the y-intercept is the y value when x is 0. So when you plug 0 in for x, what does y equal? And when you look at the equation, instead of always solving when x is 0, it is your b value, that constant at the end of the equation. So in this point, it would be 0, -4. But you can always write 0, b as your starting point and find your b value. That would be -4, so that's our answer. Now, if our equation is not in slope-intercept form, you need to change it to slope-intercept form. That means you need to solve for y, so y is on one side of the equal sign, and mx plus b is on the other side. For an example, if we have x plus y equals 1, we need to get y by itself. So the first thing we need to do, subtract x from both sides. And so then y equals -x plus 1. From there, we do the same thing we do in slope-intercept form and identify that slope and identify that y-intercept. So in this case, m would be -1 because there's a negative in front of x and no number. Our b, or our y-intercept, would be 0, 1. So if it's not in slope-intercept form, just remember you need to solve for it first before you can identify what our slope and our y-intercept are. Okay, target 3. You guys did pretty well with this target. And this one says, I can interpret slope-intercept form in application. So, one of the biggest things, this is the exact problem from your quiz. While your family is visiting Deer Creek Lake, you and your brother decide to go boating. The park rangers require a $25 deposit to rent a canoe and a rental fee of $6.50 per hour. We want to identify the slope and the y-intercept of the problem and then explain what each of them represents within the context of the problem. So, the first thing you should always do is identify the y and the x value in the problem. They will not be a number. It is a specific thing. So, the first thing we want to do is realize that our x value is the amount of hours and then our y value is our rent. So, our slope is explaining the change in the y value because of the x value, because remember, it's the change in y divided by the change of x, rise over run. So, in this case, how much our rent is for every hour, but we want to put it with the slope involved. So we would say the rent increases by $6.50 an hour. Something like that would be good for explaining what our slope is. Remember, you want to make sure it connects back to the question and you talk about the rent and you talk about the hours. What exactly does the $6.50 do? For our y-intercept, we want to know what happens before time affects the situation. We want to relate this back to the problem. So in this case, our y-intercept is the $25 deposit because you have to put that down before you even start renting or go on the lake. So in this case, you would say something like the y-intercept is the $25 deposit that you have to put down before you can even go out on the lake, because you're stating that that's before time has started. So just remember those helpful tips for explaining what they are. Remember, use words, it's not just numbers for these types of problems. Okay, our last one. Target 4. I can write the equation of a line given the y-intercept and the slope. So this is kind of flip-flopped of the second target. So we want to work backwards from that target. Instead of identifying what the slope is and the y-intercept is, we are given that and we just plug it back in to y equals mx plus b. So we will have something like m equals 4, b equals 0, 2. And we want to plug those back in to where they go. So for 4, we put it into that equation. 2, we put it where b is. And then all we have to do is write y equals 4x plus 2. Now, when we're doing this, you should always still have a y and an x value and only put the numbers in for m and b. There will be times that you might not have an x value or a y value. So, if the slope says undefined, then there will not be a y value in your equation. It'll just be x equals a number. If that's the case, you will also not have a y-intercept, and you can choose what x equals unless I specifically say what it must equal. Otherwise, you will always be given a slope and a y-intercept. If you are given a slope of 0, then you do not have to put x in the equation, but I will also give you credit if you do say y equals 0x plus the y-intercept. Either of those work. I hope this video has helped you. Don't forget to do the homework, answer the questions that go along with this video, and the practice problems, and I hope this gets you ready for the quiz retake. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm always here to help you.